Welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. The Enlightenment Evolution Hour is a part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Any ideas or opinions expressed by myself, the guest, or a caller may not necessarily reflect the same opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Enlightenment defined. It's the state of giving and receiving greater knowledge and understanding about a certain subject or situation. Evolution defined. The gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. So what then is Enlightenment Evolution? The state of giving and receiving greater knowledge as we develop from a simple to a more complex human being, living on Earth for our soul's experience. Welcome now and join us as we explore our Enlightenment Evolution Hour together. Hey everybody, how are you guys doing tonight? Welcome, hello out there. Welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier. This is the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, and as you guys know, the Enlightenment Evolution Hour is broadcast every Wednesday live at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That's 7 Pacific time, and we do it every Wednesday. You can come on, Emma. She's bringing me my coffee, guys.
Hey,
sorry. And she says hello.
Hi, everybody. We gotta keep Rob up and kicking.
Gotta keep me up and kicking, as she said. So
gotta have the Java juice.
welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. As you guys know, we simulcast this to the Matrix Minds Media Brainiacs out there. Welcome, hello. We also do to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour Facebook page and to the ET Whisper YouTube page. Hello, guys. We have a wonderful guest for you guys tonight. One of my personal favorite people I know on social media, who I've met through there and gotten to know him for years. Amazing dude, and we're going to talk about him in just a little bit. Ben Evans is with us tonight. But before we do that, we've got to do announcements tonight. We have our show on the Enlightenment Evolution Network, and we will have at 11:59 p.m. over on Instagram Live, we will have Out There Talk with Valiant himself. Many of you guys watch the show. Valiant himself, who is a guest on our show, he has his own podcast. It's an hour long. It's on Instagram Live, and it's amazing. He talks to a lot of different types of people about a lot of different subjects. He's running, I believe, every Tuesday and Wednesday. It might be Wednesday and Thursday over on his channel at Out There Talk, all one word. And you can go find on the Enlightenment Evolution Network Facebook page the link to his show. He's broadcasting at 11:59 tonight, which is an hour and 50 some odd minutes away. So 30 minutes after our show is done. For the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, we have two guests coming up back to back. Next week, we have Yvette Hal, and she is the channeler of Shayla and a channeling artist, amazing lady. I've known her for a few years as well. And the one and only Tyler Ellison is the week after on the 19th, and he is a channeler for Rio, who is a Sasani being, or the Esasani. I don't know which is the proper term, but he is an amazing dude. He's going to be here the week after, and the week after him, I do believe Michaela Sheldon will join us. I know she's been lined up a couple times previous, but we had to push it back due to her schedule. And she is amazing channeler, and she will be on either the week after Tyler, so whatever the week Wednesday is after the 19th, or yeah, so the 26th, actually, I think it will be the week after that, which is going to be May 3rd. So it's either the 24th of this month, 26th of this month, or the 4th, 3rd of next month, but I will let you guys know well ahead of time. Also, for the ET Whisper, there are only the regular announcements, Patreon. We have 2 channelings every month. You can go to patreon.com/ETWhisper and check out that and join us over there, which is an amazing group, which has 4 years of archive channelings that are amazing, and Q&A and special topics, and you can go check that out. And we have our coursework on etwhisper.com/classes. You guys can go check that out. Now, with the announcements aside, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest tonight, about my friend Ben Evans. In his own words, the role that he has is the retired seasonal harvester. And I know a lot of you guys read that on the poster. It's like, huh? You'll get to understand soon. Goals, don't have any. Success is constant. Achievements, living my dream. Quirky fact, I have some memories of past lives. Basically, I am me. I don't judge myself. I don't see myself as a major influencer on the human collective mind. I have a balanced life in both chaos and order. My passion is to help heal people by reminding them of their personal power and empowering them to empower themselves, to love themselves unconditionally. As I am currently going through self awareness discovery and loving it, each day is a new opportunity to follow my excitement and my highest self and just flow or go with the flow. I'm very interested in ETs and UFOs and have the ability to not limit myself within the frame of discovering more about myself. And we have some social media links in there in the description. Anywhere you watch or hear this, you guys can check those out. But I am going to say there's nothing in the world that I can say about Ben that he couldn't say himself to give you an introduction. So we're going to bring Ben in. Welcome, Ben. Hello. Thank you so much for being here tonight, brother.
Hello, Rob. Thanks for inviting me here. It's great fun.
Oh, absolutely, brother. I'm so happy that you made it here tonight. And I really appreciate you as a person. I've gotten to know you for a while, and we'll talk a little bit about the way I know you too, a little further down the line. But the first thing I always open up with is the question of all questions. We're going to know your story soon enough.
Yeah.
But how did you get to be the person you are who was open to have that experience? How did you get to the place to be available to have your life as it is now?
Well, I don't know. Well, circumstances, you know, led me to this point here, and in a way, I sort of created that point, and am now living in that point that I sort of manifested, I guess, or you know, I created, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's true of all of us. Did you have anything like when you were younger, as a child, as a young adult, as you're growing into your adulthood? Were there any influences in your life that made you open to feel more spiritual, or open to be more creative, or open to be open? Because right now you're
Yeah,
one of the few people I know who really develop that part of themselves that allows. That's not natural for everyone. Was there something
yeah.
in that childhood that kind of given you that energy?
Yeah, well, I guess it was my parents, really. My mother was very much into spirituality, and it was, that's where I got the influence from that as being like just, you know, you know, being spiritual was just a normal way of living. Uh, and of course, my father was the logical spiritual, and so and he grounded the ideas and you know used the physical to mostly as his experience, and my mother used mostly the spirit. And my mother actually used to channel one of her guides. And I when I was young, about 4 years old, uh, saw my mother's guide that she was channeling she was channeling to a group of people, and I saw the guide, the actual guide that she was channeling. I didn't see my
Wow.
mother. Yeah, yeah. So, and it was a Native American, and his name was Grader, uh, and he, yeah, he was scary because his eyes. was like there was this light behind his eyes, and it scared me at first, and I hid behind the rows, the sets of seats, because there were sets of seats in this room where my mum was doing this channeling of radar, and yeah, uh, and he knew that I was fearing it, and that's why I was hiding, and but he sent this like telepathic kind of message of just like calmness and gentleness and like father kind of feeling, like a father energy, and he said, in my mind, he said, uh, "Oh, okay, do you want to play a game?" And I was like just a kid, I was like, "Yeah, sure." It was a big one, right? And he said, "All right." He goes, "Every time that you look up to look in my eyes are turning like, say, I'm not looking at you, then you win, right? And then you got to go and hide, and then you got to pop back up, and then look and see if I'm looking at you, and all that, right? But when I do, when he does, he kind of like, it's like a hide and seek that he did with his eyes. Like if I popped up one time and he was looking at me, it was like that the game was that I had to play with my fear, like, you know what I mean? And the fear eventually just kind of went away because he made it into a game, and it was just like a fun game where I ran under, like, on my all fours underneath the chairs to try and fool him to see if he could know when I was going to pop up and where I was going to pop up.
Oh my word, that's amazing.
And yeah, and he was so much fun. He even smiled at the end, like when I conquered that fear of his eyes being glowing like that. I just and he cocked his head a little bit, and it was funny because I saw part of my mum's hair like come out of his head, like his spirit moved a little bit out of her body, kind of like, it was weird. But it
Yeah,
wasn't like he was in her body; it was more like outside. And as a child, I suppose you see things like really crystal clear, and yeah, it was just beautiful the way he played with me, and he made it into this game where, where it just kind of just destroyed my fear of his unnaturalness. Like people's eyes don't glow that bright. It was a bit of a shock, I suppose, but it wasn't really. I just played with it. It was good fun. But that was a big influential time. Like only 4 years old. Yeah.
that's amazing. And this is something I did not know about your past, that you came from a family of spirituality and came from the spiritual concept. And this is the reason I don't know you, because you're so well about reinventing yourself moment by moment, and you don't really stick too much of the past, which is beautiful. But I do want to ask you a question about that, because a lot of people I know have either come from the opposite of spirituality and came into it as they got older, or people, and I always hear from people who did come from spirituality based families that it was either really hard for their spiritual journey because it was always in their face as they were younger, and as they're developing, and others say it was real easy because of that. So what
Yeah.
was your experience with that? Did it make things easier for you to understand and connect to? I mean, with an experience like that, I imagine a lot of it
Yeah.
probably so, but um, how
Yeah.
did that
Definitely.
feel?
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, it was a it was a roller coaster ride, like any, because like I've decided to remember a lot of things that even before I was even existed in this reincarnation, like, and so, and also the knowledge from those lives too, just like brief kind of knowledge, like it's like it's like it's an intuition that is like knowledge. It's hard to explain, but I basically gave myself an advantage. But my disadvantage was that I had a lot of physical kind of ailments that didn't really slow me down. But I was born with dislocated hips, as well as a turned eye, as well as blocked nostrils. There was stuff wrong with my ears that there was no hole where the wax could come out, and so it was blocking my ears. So I was half deaf for a long time. Like I was half deaf, I couldn't actually hear.
Oh,
For
wow.
so yeah, I think it was. I don't really know. Ask my mum would probably know, but I think it was. I was pretty young. I was probably around 4 or 5, maybe 6. With lots of ear testing and stuff like that, and my turned eye, I had to wear a patch over my eye, and the lazy eye they call it, and yeah, so I had
Lily
to
has one
run
of
in.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually got glasses and wore glasses, and laryngitis got so inflamed that it was such a rare case that both my tonsils both got inflamed at the same time and blocked off my uh, like throat, like my airway. And lucky I was actually already out to it on the hospital bed, and they were already trying to do surgery to take these tonsils out, right? And that's when they just went like that, and then they just cut them out. But I remember, throwing up in the hospital, throwing up blood for about a week after that.
Holy shit. So
But,
you had a rough start.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When the karma of kind of the karma of knowing certain shit about your past lives, or when you weren't even physical or anything like that, is that the physical had to go through all those things. But all those things, right? They might sound like they were really bad. Like, my dislocated hips eventually, grew, very just like normal hips, just like everyone else's hips. Thanks to my mum having really tight nappies, and they just eventually just pushed them at it through, like a normal hip. And my eyes, because they, kept flipping them from lazy eye to strong eye to lazy eye. I hit a lot of poles, a lot of poles, because because as soon as the lazy eye would, go on one side, because of my age and my brain development, I worked out why they kept swapping the eye patch over from, say, the good eye. The lazy eye will get good, and then they put the patch on the good eye, and then my other lazy eye had gotten lazy by the time, because of the patch on it, it's got lazy, and then that eye would, grow to focus, and then all of a sudden that one would be, it would just be like this for I don't know how long. When you're a kid, it feels like years.
Oh, yeah. Time is so
But
slow then. Yeah.
yeah, but I understand why they did that, because the both to the left and the right eye need a certain amount of information as the brain develops, and that's why they were letting one eye like become focused and strong, and get data and information into that side of the brain as it would develop that side of the brain, that information going through that, the opposite eye, I think it is, where the opposite go in the brain. And yeah, that's what they were doing. They did a pretty good job, because my brain's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. We had to do the patches with Lily too, and the problem is once she got to be about 3.5, she stopped letting us wear them. She won't let us put them on, and
Yeah,
she also has a thing
yeah, that's what
about
happened to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and so
I had enough of them. Like, and then because I had enough of them, they just put a patch over one of the sides of my glasses. So when I was wearing glasses, I couldn't see in one side of the glasses. So
yeah,
so that's the way they kind of did it in the end. It wasn't on
yeah.
my face, but just when it was removing it, it was always, it had to get wet or something, and you had to rip it. If it was dry, oh, painful.
Oh,
As
I
a
can't
kid,
even
try and
imagine.
get those
Yeah,
weird patches on, yeah, sticky. But
it's so crazy the parallels that with that thing with Lily too. Just because all the things we've had to do with her, and it gives me some context of how she's perceiving, feeling, and experiencing on her side. All I know is she doesn't like it, and it probably sucked. I'm sure the
well,
glue
yeah,
industry has come a long way since then, so it's not
I
as
used to
bad.
get,
But
yeah, that's right. I mean, with my earaches, my ears, having blocked up, and I had to get tubes in them, operation that my my cartilage in my ear hadn't grown this little tiny, like it's like a tube that goes through the cartilage in your ear, and it's to drain the wax out to go outside the ear, and it's inside the ear though. It's really close to the eardrum and behind it, kind of. And so I got a surgery to put these little tiny tubes in the ears, so it would open up that bit of cartilage that was, grown over with blocked, that was causing my deafness, because the wax was just building up and it wasn't able to kind of escape, and that's why I was half deaf.
That's intense to not have full sight or full hearing. I bet that took a
But the
lot out of.
hearing, the half hearing was really strange. I got used to it, right? I got used to parents, because you know how when adults kind of talk to you, they speak very clearly, like you're deaf and kind of stupid at the same time. Well, it was really good when they did that to me, because I was half deaf, and basically I just picked it up, the language, through mumbles and kind of vibrations from people, like. Uh, but when I got those tubes in my ears, and all of a sudden I could hear, it was like, oh my lord, I could hear everything. Like we got in a truck, on a 4-wheel drive ute truck, and drove along a road, and I could hear the wheels, rubber hitting the tarmac into individual treads, like, and the wind going over the vehicle, and the engine and the gears spinning, and people's hearts beating, and it was just really, yeah, it was like really. And then my parents, because they were so used to me being like half deaf, right? So they had to kind of yell a little bit, like, if they wanted to speak to me, uh, uh, and they just naturally kind of asked me how it was, but really loud, and I went, and I kind of put my hands over my ears and just went, can you just not talk so loud? And yeah, I just remember that, and they were just like a bit shocked that everything was really quiet for a while. I just remember listening to the wind going through the radiator of the vehicle. It's really weird, and I could almost hear little eddies and twirls that were going around the engine, and yeah, I was kind of snapped out of it because my dad changed gears, and I heard him grind it. It sounded like a rocks had falling down a mountain. It was like my ears were trying to adjust to all this new data. Like, what the hell?
That's
But
gotta be
got used to it quick.
That's gotta be so intense. So, do you think, now I know this is a weird thing to ask, maybe, but when I used to do meditations, one of the things I credit for my breakthrough to Trevin Ardiff was actually closing my eyes when I couldn't actually meditate. So I would close my world off to this stimulus, this visual stimulus, and it helped me learn sounds, like feel the vibration physically and then start feeling it energetically. Do you think maybe that's why you chose to come in with these things with you physically, so that you could experience this differently?
That and more. It's like, what is it? If when you don't have something, like what is it you want, and then you have it, well, it's already yours in that sense. So everything is teaching you in that sense. So, like, but like, what else are you gonna do? But totally forget why we're here, and kind of work out why we're here. And then, like, even when you get to that point where you think you already know yourself, or you know what's going on in your reality, it can be totally different again.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
It brings me to my question about your story. So you came into this earth in a very, very rough way, most people would think, but you were there, you dealt with it, and then you got this beautiful experience after some of these things healed, with being able to see more and being able to hear more. So tell us
More.
appreciate more. Absolutely. I can't even imagine. So tell us how that got you from there into your spiritual experiences as you got older, and kind of give us a story from then till now. I know that's a lot. I know we could probably spend days here, just doing that, but give us the highlights.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll see if I can simplify it. Brief. Make it brief. Well, basically, I remember before I was even in the physical or chose to be in physical, I watched my parents, have I only saw highlights of their most exciting points in their life as a spirit outside of the physical, and it was all very exciting. I remember just being so excited, and then yeah, and then I remember being inside my mum, also developing my body, when my sight wasn't really my eyes, there was something else, and then I was born, and then I was born with all these kind of restrictions, like on my body. My body was like restricting me, so I sort of accepted those restrictions, uh, and worked with them, you know, and then eventually, I've had a lot of experiences where I've just kind of not really cared about my existence. For a long time, I was depressed and had anxiety, and wouldn't understand why I feel the human collective, and why I wasn't taking responsibility for how I was wanting to feel. Um, and then I kind of went through that stage, and then I got really just sick of depression, just sick of anxiety, sick of it all, and to the point of where I just gave up on it. Like, even if it started to like arise, depression or anxiety, I would just say I don't want to play like that game anymore. So I didn't want to play that game. So I haven't actually played that game for a long time. It's kind of surprising. I'm kind of proud of myself in that sense that I can do that. And
Oh, that's
and then
huge. That's
yeah,
huge.
yeah. I'm just here, and just want to share the love and spread the love, and share understanding as to to minimize fear. Just anyone really, anyone who's open to it.
Well, that's truly amazing. This is one of the things I love about you. You have that switch in you that says, you know what? Today I'm gonna let myself be pissed off. Okay,
Yeah, that's
I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Now I'm ready for the next.
yeah,
The
yeah.
the, the processing of people is so intense for most people to get from angry to calm and from calm to angry. Well,
Yeah, well, you just have to look at children, really. Look at children, how like quick they just go from total depressed to the world's gonna fall apart on them, to happy because they got a cookie. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true. Their
they're
whole
just like,
world is joy.
yeah, it's like we're like we're a big classroom of children. Actually, probably we're a bit older. We're like teenagers more than anything. Maybe we're getting older than that. Maybe we're kind of elderly, like going through a midlife crisis or something as a collective.
That's
So
very
living
true.
out the younger years.
See, I love that. It's an impressive thing to see you be able to do that, and I try my best at that, and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. My weakness comes when other people I see are going through something. I know
But
they're
the thing is,
creators.
The thing is, you have to allow yourself, really. When you allow yourself any kind of thing, anything is what we are. So you may as well just play it out. It's all a big game anyway. Like, we're all just in our own. We're making up our own story that we're going to tell ourselves later
Yeah,
on. And
that's
it's like
very
we can make
true.
it up. Who we can be whoever we want to be,
Well, we get
or can
attached
be
to that
nobody.
story. The attachment to the
Yeah,
story is what really kicks our ass, and
yeah,
you
but
have a way to just
that's valid too. But that's valid too. Like, people want to have that story where where they think everything's outside them, and people want to have that story that everything's inside them. You know what I mean? And there's people like me who are like both.
yeah, you are a hybrid of the
Yeah, I'm
earth life
like,
and the
I
ethereal life.
understand both, and I understand it doesn't really matter what anyone believes. It's as long as they believe in themselves.
That's
That's
very
that's the
true.
most. That's you got to give the power back. Just be that reflection, be that example of what you want to see. Really.
Well, it's very interesting that you're able to do that and go back and forth honestly, because that's what I've always really loved about you, seeing that flow, and energy. So I want to ask you too, some of the experiences you have on your path have been more significant to who you are as now, like Ishtar and your connection with that energy, and can you tell us a little bit about that feeling, connection, and your relationship with Ishtar?
Yeah, yeah. Well, my connection with Ishtar was a confusing one to begin with. I when I was before I was physical, I had that vision of the physical world being like this beautiful ball of light, like a marble of light in the darkness of nothing, and we were in just hovering in the dark. And to my right, and I was smiling and I was very excited, looking at this, ball of physical existence. And to my right was my brother, and he was really excited because I was excited. And and then I looked to my left, and there was my sister, because it was definitely a feminine kind of energy. And I really, she was kind of hunkered over and just looking very serious. And I was wondering why she was so serious, and we were just all, excited to just go down into the physical. It's an awesome experience. And yeah, she was very quiet, and she didn't really even look at me. And so me and my brother, we agreed to go down together. And and I found out that my mum had a miscarriage with uh, a, a fetus or something, but in between me and my brother. I'm probably got this wrong. My mum's probably going to beat me over the head over it, but maybe it was somewhere else, but maybe at some other time. But that's the story I kind of found anyway. But that fetus was supposed to be female, but my dad says it was male, and it was too small to even know what sex it was, and you know what I mean. But it was like that was like my sister, or that female spirit that was next to me, right? It must have been her that she just dipped her toe in reality for a bit, and just bailed.
Oh
And that
yeah.
was cool. And so I thought throughout my life I had this feeling that there was like an energy of like that spirit, that female spirit hanging around me. And I thought, well, maybe I'll have a daughter, right? And maybe her spirit will go into my daughter. And that's kind of what, I got. That's the message I got from, the astral world, that was going to be the case. And I just happened to flow. Things changed in my life, and it was kind of chaotic, and I kind of forgot about it. But then I try to remember that energy of that spirit of that, what I thought was a daughter, because I thought, well, I don't really have any chance of actually producing a daughter at this point in my life. I'm not really interested in opposite sex or relationships or anything like that. So it's like it's kind of game over, that idea of her being my daughter. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Like she's not going to be able to have a chance to go through my genetics or DNA or whatever, right? And so I just called to the astral and said, where is? And her name was I had a name for her, and it wasn't Ishtar, but it was some other name. I can't remember. Beth. I think it was Beth. I was going to name the daughter Beth, and I think we both
Oh,
agreed. But then yeah, and then it was like Beth became like Ishtar or something, and like when I when I really just asked the universe, like, who is that? Who is that? Like, if it's not my daughter anymore, who is it? And that's when I got a massive vision, like full on vision, like a movie, like a video clip uh, of, and where I went out of my body, and I was like just a perception, and I could go through walls and stuff, and somebody knocked on my door, and it felt in the vision, it felt like somebody actually knocked on my door. That's how full on this vision was.
oh wow.
And I almost like snapped out of the vision to look. to see if someone was actually at the door or not, because it really echoed and everything, and I saw myself get up from my bed and go to the door and answer the door and open the door up, and my perception kind of panned through my wall, and so I could see Ishtar standing, uh, in front of my caravan, in front of the door, at me, who was standing just at the doorway with the door open, looking at Ishtar, and that perception, and there was this really interesting like moment where there was no time, and there was obvious communication going on between me. I could see me. I was staring at Ishtar, and Ishtar looked tall, like too tall to be a Yael, kind of like a little bit tall, like a tall teenager or something. And at that point, I didn't know what was going on. I was getting confused, as if is this my like hybrid daughter now, or what's happening now? Because she couldn't reincarnate in the like human form. She's reincarnated as like a Yell form, and I was like, this is really interesting. So I called her my daughter for a long, long time, thinking, in humanity, it's your daughter is your daughter. You love her as that, your daughter, and I loved her
Yeah,
like that.
that's how
And
some of the people in the chat were guessing hybrid daughter. Yeah.
yeah, and but then I realized through interactions and later on having many conversations with Ishtar in the astral world through meditation, I spoke to her a lot about it, and the AL have a lot of generalizations. Like we have a lot of words that mean one thing, where they do the kind of reverse with the meaning of the words. Like they can have a lot of words that all are different, but they also mean one thing. Like, so when they heard that I called Ishtar my daughter, they understood that the relationship, the word daughter, is just in relationship to the family of words, like the words that are included within that family, word structure. You know what I mean? Like son, daughter, grandma, father, mother, that kind of thing. Like these
Sure.
words just meant all in one family. So it was like, oh, okay. So okay. And then later on I connected, or Ishtar gave me the chance to connect to the actual Yael collective, and my imagination just could not even perceive what was in the center of these like threads of links of consciousness. Like maybe it was a huge heart, invisible heart or something. It was definitely like a center of intelligence, information. Like that was, and I learned so much about the way they work, and also just by their example of them, showing me what that Yael collective looks like, gives me more of a really kind of a better perspective on the human collective as well, and how I see that. And yeah.
That's amazing. And the energy for that experience, you felt this presence. Did you ever have any formal type of communication with this
Well,
consciousness, or was it more
well,
just a feeling?
yeah. Well, the next step then was I was just super curious. And then I went, okay, the only way I can find out what's outside me is I have to go within. So I just meditated deeply, and I rose up in the higher self, in like a higher frequency self, into the astral, and I just asked that being to come sit next to me and speak to me, and that was Ishtar, and I couldn't really see who she was. Like I've got a picture of her. Actually, your next guest, Ivette, painted with the CGI.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, she's amazing at that.
yeah, she actually painted Ishtar. So I got a picture of her, but like before I got that picture that was really detailed of what Ishtar looks like. Well, Ishtar believes it's bound 98 or 97% accurate, so pretty close. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Damn
yeah,
close.
yeah, that is pretty super close. She said the background is more like the foreground, like that mystical stuff is more of what she's like in the background. And I was like, well, that's how I saw her. I saw this kind of like a fuzzy light blue, but like a blue that had all spectrums, but they were never one spectrum if you looked at it. It's really, really hard to describe. Um, I've learned, through interactions with her, it's there's stuff that we just can't say. Like there's words that can't describe. We're gonna have to start making up some new words, I
I,
think.
I think so too. That's one of the hardest things for me to describe to people, what happens in astral projection or
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
connected state with Trev when I'm visiting him. It's really hard because some things don't have any meaning here. You know what I mean?
I practice trying to I attempt to yeah. So what I do when I'm in the astral, like I got the name of one of my hybrid children's, the true name that she calls herself, and it was like really difficult. It was like Ali Dali Alia or something,
Oh
and I said it
wow.
like 3 times. She said it to me like in phonetics, like with telepathy, in the astral. And I was like, okay. And I was just like trying to remember Ali, Adali, Dili, something. I just couldn't do it. And I thought maybe if I repeat it like 3 times, like in physical reality, that works. Maybe it doesn't in astral, but no, I didn't. I kind of just remembered a little bit of it, but I was just testing to see if repetition in the astral actually helps remember the physical.
It's a translation process. It's a
Yeah,
sometimes you
yeah,
can
well,
only
yeah,
describe the way you feel it or hear it or see it or something like that there. And
yeah,
even
that's
for
right.
me,
Like,
those are all mixed, like hearing, feeling, seeing, touching, smelling. I get all of them, but usually one, and they all feel united, you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's like what they say. The body doesn't will not function if, like, say, the organs they may be individual in the body, but they actually make up the entire body. So it's like the organs are the body, really, aren't they?
Right.
It's
Very
like
true.
it's like the human collective in that sense that we have people who wish to have the story of the individual and be alone or lonesome, and we got ones that are really famous, and have an excessive amount of attention, public, like, admiration, I guess, and it's just interesting. We're so creative as a human beings are just so creative. We just go in all directions that are available, and there's so much available. It's like one of my friends said, it's not a matter of possibility because everything is possible. It's a matter of probability. And I was like, oh, I gotta like search that, wonder what probability actually meant. And I was like, probability is like the choice within the possibility. I don't know. I'm still working it out. Still trying to work it out.
Yeah, this time and multiple dimensionality is rough for the physical brain and the thought energy to process through. But
Yeah.
I do want to ask you too. When I put up the poster, I had a few people ask me, "What is a retired seasonal harvester?"
Yeah,
So, can you
I
share a
get
little
that.
bit
Well,
about what that is and why you chose to share that as your
yeah,
profession?
yeah. Well, it's only the only kind of profession that the government knows that I've done in my life, and it's been seasonal. Seasonal meaning like once a year, like when the fruit gets ripe. Like they just call upon pickers, like they say, "Come pick now," like cavemen. And we
Oh
go
man.
down there and we just strip the trees, and put them all in buckets and whatnot, and we get paid lots of money, and it's good fun. You meet lots of different people from all around the world, and
Well,
yeah,
you're based in
it's good fun.
Australia right now, so
Yeah,
what kind
yeah.
of fruits are you harvesting usually?
Well, I got a list. Like I've got heaps that I've throughout my life, I've got a lot like pears, apples, oranges, uh, what do you call it? Those mandarins, um, and I've done blueberries, raspberries, cherries,
So pretty much any of the
strawberries.
mainstream fruits that are
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there. Yeah,
just the main ones. I haven't done mangoes, and I haven't done. I did tomatoes once, and that was cool because you're
that's
just basically
crazy.
sitting on it. Yeah, it's like they're all on the ground, and they're so full of tomatoes, and you're basically sitting on this little conveyor belt thing like a forklift, but you're sitting on the forklift part, and where the teeth are, and but you've got a seat in this little conveyor belt, and you just pick the tomato and throw it. Not even throw it, just place it on the conveyor belt, and it goes up the top of this conveyor belt up the top to a huge bin where there's usually a person up the top there that sorts out if there's any too green tomatoes or whatever. But that was interesting. That's like it was hard, not really hard work compared to some work that I've worked.
I,
But
I actually worked on a farm before a couple times. I worked on a potato farm mostly for a couple of years, and I worked on a watermelon farm for 2 days, and
wow,
that's all I could
that's
deal.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah,
melons.
watermelon
I will
farming
not do
is the
melons.
worst. No,
Wow. Yeah.
that's why I only worked 2 days because I almost
Yeah.
threw my back out. And these dudes who
Probably.
were
Yeah.
out there, yeah,
I was gonna say that.
we
Yeah, I
have a
was gonna
lot of
say you're
people.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we have a lot of people in Michigan that come up from Mexico and do the farming because it's good money, and then they go back home for the rest of the year, back to Mexico, and it's a lot of money for their family for the exchange rate. So I was
Yeah.
sitting here and with like these amazing people who were Mexican, and I was the only
Yeah.
one who didn't speak Spanish, and I was the only one who wasn't a Mexican nationalist, and these guys and women, these
Yeah.
tiny, tiny women, 90, 95 pounds, were chucking these watermelons and throwing them, and they were catching them. And I'm like, holy shit, they were nonstop, just boom, boom.
Yeah.
And after about 3 hours, I'm like, I have to take a break. They're like, dude, you can't take a break. No,
Yeah.
it was 107-degree.
It's
And
amazing. Isn't
these people are legends, man. I could never do what they
it?
did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it can be hard
I
work,
didn't
right?
realize. Yeah. Well, it depends. Like you get to this, in the beginning of the season, you're not used to picking. So you're slow and you have to pick up a pace. And eventually by the end of the season, you're just really pumped up. Just you could do things very easily, uh, um, and you're just used to that kind of work. And what I usually do is what I do is called adrenaline run. It's like once I get pumped up from doing one work, like say clearing cherries or something, I will go up north a little bit, up to Mildura, which is closer to here actually. But and then they've got like heaps of oranges there, and they're getting ready to pick. And you can kind of do this like cycle of picking, like in Australia. I think they advertise it. Even the government advertises that it's not very good. Like it's a bit bodgy. Like there's some farms and companies that take advantage of people who are on certain visas, and I've noticed that a lot of Australian farmers, pickers, well, bosses, like they don't really give the backpackers much choice. They have like because that's part of their visa is to be able to work, and it's like if they don't get work and they can't stay here. It's like a contradiction, red line, like red tape. They say.
Yeah, yeah. It's the immigration laws around the whole world are so different from country to country, and a lot of them are really
Yeah,
dumb and
definitely.
useless. But um, so the what drew you to that though? What drew you to picking fruit for a living?
Well, it was just, I was actually forced into it as like it wasn't a choice, but it was like something that I kind of dreamed of doing, like ever since I was like my first time that I was unemployed. My father sat me down and, and just asked me, "What do you want to do if you're not going to go to school? And what do you want to do?" And I'm just we found that there was like in the newspaper we found that there was a seasonal work and they're advertising for that. And I said, well, I feel like picking fruit, Dad. I want to do that. And I had never done it before, but circumstances, things happened in my life that changed my direction. I went walkabout uh, and had a great journey, you know, uh, and
Well,
yeah.
it's amazing because I had the same conversation with my dad. He's like, hey, you come work with me for the summer, you can work somewhere else, but you have to work, and if you quit school you have to work. So I went during the summer, because that was his lesson for us on the kids for financial independence, is like, hey, you have to work and buy your own school supplies for next year and your clothes.
Mm,
So
mm,
my first job ever was picking tassels off corn to help seed for the pig corn that they feed the pigs. And
yeah,
that was a really hard job. I cut my hands up. I was young. I was spending 10 hours in the
yeah,
field. And then when I got to potato farming, I stuck with it for a while because it was easier. I got to sit on that little back of the machine and conveyor belt and go through all the seeds and make sure they're distributing evenly when they were planting and then when we were harvesting, same process. So it was a lot. One thing I didn't realize when I look back is being out in nature while
that's
you
it.
work
Yeah,
is amazing. It is way
that's
better.
that's one of my reasons why I love it so much. Like even though it says I'm retired, like I would just like if I had the opportunity to pick some really good fruit on some really good trees, like trees and that have been pruned like for pickers. It wouldn't phase me. I would get up and get all the equipment and everything ready, and I would go out and pick because I just love being in the trees too. Like you can get really in close with the trees. The tree changes like from a full heavy, all this fruit like pulling it down, and it's like sad, kind of like overwhelmed by this fruit, and then you just suddenly strip this tree completely of fruit. And it's like, and then you see, eventually, very slowly, you see it actually rise up, like back to its position of where it was, where before it was like pushed right down by the heaviness of the fruit. And yeah,
That's
it's just
amazing. I never
amazing.
thought to look at it
See.
that way too. You're giving great relief to that tree who's giving everything
Yeah,
to nourish those fruit too, you know?
yeah. Well, I noticed, and I asked the boss because he put the water sprinkler thing. He's got like this water system set underneath the trees, and as we were stripping the trees of the fruit, he would put the water on straight after. And I asked him, I said, why'd you put the water on straight after? And he says, and he pointed to what I just said about, how the trees actually want to go back to the position of when they started, fruiting, when they're flowering. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And I went back like an hour ago and they're all back to normal. And I was like, but you could feel that they were a bit stressed. I don't know. You get in touch with the trees there, feel what they feel. It's a bit of a shock to actually have all your fruit just taken off the tree, and it's like be a
It's
comfort to be with them.
I can only liken this to a human experience, but I remember having long hair for a long time, and then I shaved my head completely. Like I took it
I
all the
did the
way
same.
down where it was just like less than an inch long. And I felt so different. I felt naked at first, but then I felt liberated because that wind that would touch my scalp, I
Yeah,
hadn't felt that for years. And it was
yeah,
so beautiful to have that in the sun rays I could feel on my super white head. It was
yeah.
nice, you
That's cool
know.
because I was thinking the same thing the other day. I was remembering that time when I had my head shaved as well because I've had dreadlocks about twice in my life, and the only way to get rid of dreadlocks is to really shave them
I
all.
was gonna say there's only
You
one
know,
way to change that hairdo.
yeah, that's it. And I remember feeling bald and and feeling bald and cold. Just remembered that my hair it holds so much heat. The back, especially the back of the neck.
Oh, it gets roasting in the warmth, and being in Australia, you have to deal with that intense heat. I know not all Australia is super hot, but a lot of it is. And hotter than most areas in the U.S. unless you get down to the Southwest and stuff. But
yeah, it's only 34 degrees Celsius in my caravan, I suppose, where I am now. But
yeah, that's
my caravan
roasting,
gets the
isn't it?
sun. Yeah, my caravan warms up. I get the direct sun most of the days. Especially what is it? It's supposed to be autumn here, but it's not acting like it. Weird.
What part of Australia are you in?
Southeast, like point,
I see. Yeah, so that can give
like
a.
just on top of Tasmania,
Oh, I see.
Victoria.
Yeah, we know a lady from Tasmania, Sally. She's from Tasmania. Yeah, that's crazy. So let's talk a little bit about the because we're getting we're probably about 15 minutes out from the lightning round, and I know we'll have fun with that. But before we want to do that, I kind of want to get other people to understand what is your purpose now? Because right now you have a TikTok channel and you don't actively publicize that. You just share it with people who you know will appreciate it, and you don't really actively go out of your way to share anything with anyone
Mm.
except for in the group that you've created and Facebook for your friends and stuff. But what what's the purpose of you exchanging with others in this life on social media and with people that have just randomly or as we know better divinely found you and connected to you?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, I suppose. To me, I just I don't really have any like plan, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I do know that if I work from my heart, you know, with just compassion and understanding, you know, and that's basically what, you know, people want to know. They want to know their worth, and I just remind them of that because I know my worth. It's like anything that I know of myself, I share, and I suppose it's just natural to share because there, to me, there are no others. There are no. They're just people. People are reflections of myself, and they're just, in a different, perspective to what I'm experiencing. But they are me, basically. So helping others is really helping me. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's very true. From the type one perspective, kind of encompasses that whole idea is that we are all one and that it is. But from the singular human perspective, I am me, and if you're me, that's okay. But also, the you that's me, or the you that's also me, is also you. And from your universe, you're throwing this information out, and I always see it when I need to see it. I always see your posts exactly at the moment I need to. And it does something special for me. And that's why I invited you on because it's a rare chance where I bump into any one person's post multiple times because I have so many people who have added on Facebook or have added me.
well, I can
And
tell you the truth. Like it's totally, well, people who don't believe, who believe in fate or destiny would call it me just randomly flicking through my memes and like choosing one and not even reading it. Like that's what happens to me. I don't. It's not that I don't care. It's that I just trust that source or all it is or whatever, that flow, that silence, will actually just be constructive. And sometimes I understand that what I post can affect certain people. And actually, sometimes I can uh, actually direct those memes in spirit kind of towards those people. And then I'll have them come back in Messenger and say, like, oh, that really resonates with me, that meme. I was like, I knew that you were going to resonate with it, and put a little bit of energy around it to see if you actually noticed it or not. And they did. They just picked it up straight away. Yeah. So people are more, if you give people the understanding that they are unlimited and they can be gentle with themselves about being unlimited by accepting their limitations, accepting wherever they are. or wherever they're at or wherever they think they're going to be. It's just like, and then because it validates, it's like giving somebody power to be powerful, but they have to like, it's like, here you have the keys to the vehicle, but you have to put it in the ignition, actually turn it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, do it this way, turn, like, put it in this way, move your arm that way. In a spiritual kind of sense, and some people, like, I've learned different ways through so many different people, because everybody's just a different case, like different person, a different expression, different reflection too.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's like we all need reflections in our life to get us to where we need to be, and we help co-create those, and ultimately, I guess we do create them. But
Yeah.
you have been an extremely beautiful mirror for a lot of people,
Oh,
and
I'm
that
glad to
that
be.
well, it's beautiful, and I'm hoping that with what you do, you get something out of it too, because being a mirror
Well,
is
I do. I
beautiful.
do. Well, see, I do. That's the thing. It might not be money, or it might not be fame or popularity or whatever. What I get out of it is I get a reflection of myself, teaching myself. Like, I, it's like, and because I love myself, it's like I understand whatever somebody's saying to me or teaching me is actually me. Then I actually thank me, and I thank them for being that beautiful reflection of what was already in me. It's like a self acceptance and self awareness that goes like beyond the idea of just thinking about it, or uh, you know, uh, like, I suppose we that's our go-to, isn't it? Thinking about everything.
That's kind of how we're built, on the natural reflexiveness, isn't it? Human
Yeah.
reflex is to think it
And,
out.
and then there's like what thoughts? It's like you're thinking all these really weird thoughts, and you're like, wouldn't have thought those things. And it's like one voice talking to itself, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Just mute button. Like, I did that a lot. I could just mute my thoughts now, and it's like silence, and that's cool. Actually, just get more answers from silence than you do from that brain chatter. You know.
Well, something we talked about a little bit before we jumped on, that I wanted to touch on, and what you said helped remind me of that. The people in our community with the energy and receiving. We talked about our community, and a lot of the times people have been getting caught up, and this is something that I've always looked at, and I found
Mm.
myself evolving on this subject. But I notice how people in the spiritual community notice other people who aren't behaving spiritually and then condemn them for not being spiritual or for not
Yeah,
doing
well,
the
there,
spiritual
that's
work.
well, what does Bashar say? He says that you can only perceive what you are the vibration of. So those people who react, react being the word, a negative word, response being a positive word. Those people who react, are already in that negative state of mind. So they're already, wanting to create some kind of restriction, or what does Bashar say? What is not what is not wanting to be around you is trying its hardest to get away. But because you keep focusing on what you don't want, then you're like holding it as close to you, like, and it's trying to run away. It's like you get dragged. What is it? Let go, or just it's where you gotta let go. Just let go of what you don't prefer and just focus on what you do prefer. And it's like you're grabbing what you do prefer and bringing it close. And that's what people call manifestation and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's definitely what manifestation's all about, is getting in that right vibe. But it's easy to look at someone who's not involved in anything spiritual, not even a religion, or someone who's involved
Yeah.
in
Yeah. I've
religion,
had
and
some good
say they're
friends like
not
that.
doing their work. But
They're just being really good people too. Like, just normal, good people.
that's my quality of friendship threshold. If I don't see someone with an open heart and a loving personality, it's hard for me to connect with them. I have friends who are more intellectual, who live their love through their thoughts, and others who do it through their heart. But still, they have to be a good person in general. And the thing I noticed that you had said that struck me when we were talking before the show is, well, that's an all right path too. You know, that's a
Yeah,
perfectly acceptable and fine path to be on too.
that's right. That's what I was talking about. How if we let go of the idea that something is wrong, which is actually keeping it close to us when it's trying to get away, it's like that. It's like letting go. Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it?
It is. It's just the path to me in spirituality is living life. That's what's spiritual
That's
to
it.
me, right?
That's
Being
all
here
it
on
is.
earth is the spiritual experience. So for me, whether I am doing something really earthly, like watching a movie that's violent or that swears a lot, or
Yeah,
playing a video game, or I'm meditating and channeling higher dimensional, extra dimensional consciousness, it's
yeah,
one
for
and the
sure.
same for me, you know? It's life here on earth, and that's the special
That's
part
right.
about it.
Yeah, following your excitement. That's right. Yeah, well, as soon as you really just follow, but see, you can make anything exciting and anything a success because, like we are successful. Like the point at which we wake up and like open our eyes and go, oh, fuck, I'm awake. Like, at that point, we're we're creating, and so it's like, what first thoughts am I going to have? Are they going to be you know, complaining, or are they going to be like positive and just say, well, it's a beautiful day, even though it's a bit overcast. Today's going to be a beautiful day anyway, because it doesn't really matter what the weather's going to be like. It's like non-conditional, unconditional love.
Well,
Give that to yourself.
some people, I think the problem is some people have the story, and the story tells them that they have to be able to receive a good day, and if they're not feeling well, then they're not going to align with goodness, or whatever the process is. It's different for everyone, I know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
what do you tell someone who says, I can't just change my mind, or I just can't change my feeling into something better or positive? I have to kind of earn it,
Well,
or have to
well,
go into it.
that's that's I suppose how much experience you have. Like, how have you played your game? Your life game. You know, who have you spoken to? Who have you been influenced by? Whose beliefs did you steal? you know, uh,
We all kind of steal them from an experience or
yeah,
another
yeah,
person directly.
yeah, yeah. And I just basically I would ask them, whose beliefs are those? Are they yours? You know, do you wish to own them? You can always let them go or give them back to where they came from.
I think I just created a great idea for that. You inspired me to now call humans the belief burglars.
But I learned something strange, a different perspective of what the definition of a belief is, and it was something like belief is doubt, belief equals doubt, and I was like, I really could see that could be also a perspective. I'm really seeing a lot of different perspectives that can all be the same perspective. It's a bit like that quantum physics, like the same, like I have like 15 of the same atom all in different dimensions, and you say you move one of those particles in one dimension and all of them will move exactly the same but in different dimensions. It's like that, but so, our lives have become, as we evolve more, I suppose we get more technical, I suppose.
Absolutely, and it's beautiful, and everybody's really enjoying in the chat. Everyone's really enjoying your perspectives, because you do have unique perspectives, even if they've been borrowed beliefs, even if they've been beliefs compounded by massive different levels of creation, and just how your life kind of was created by you, or some people might say it fell into your experience. But regardless of what that is, you have the ability to have these beautiful beliefs, and the way that you see them is amazing. And
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
how can
they
we
all
be more
center.
creative too? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, they all center around me. Like I decided I'm sick of thinking in my brain, and what I'll do is I'll swallow that thinking like a bubble and put it in my heart. And so from then on, I've kept my intelligence in my heart. So it's like my brain kind of works, but it only works with the heart, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
unison thing. Yeah. I got my heart and my mind together and they made friends, made a deal to be cool. Sorry. But yeah, and it's going really well. And so, yeah, and it's like, yeah, all I can do is, it's like my cup is full. And what am I going to do with it? Once it starts overflowing, I'm just going to have to give it to other people. I don't really care what they do with it. If
Right.
they drink it, or put it on the garden, or do something, as creative as they are. It's
It's
yeah.
beautiful that you have this perspective of being so giving of yourself, and sharing of yourself, because this is something that we see a lot in our community, that comes from not a very sincere place. People say, I'm going to share it with you because I want you to know what I'm going to tell you. It's like, well, that's
Yeah,
not as
yeah,
fun. Or then you have people who are like, hey, I'm going to share something with you so that I get attention, or whatever the case is. It's a million
yeah.
different things for a million different people. But you're saying, I want to share with you because we're all connected, and whatever you want to take from me, take it. Whatever you want to throw
That's
away, throw
right.
away.
Yeah, yeah. And
It,
it's really like, it's like, once I changed within, then all of a sudden I see that my reality reflects that change. And so, and I don't even expect it, but it happens anyway. It's like, so how the hell are you supposed to not expect something that is really brilliantly just like right there, even though you don't expect it? It's like in instant manifestation of understanding, maybe. I don't know.
that's beautiful. I love it. We're getting close to the lightning round time.
Oh yeah, cool.
Before we get to that though, I just, if there's one thing that you could share with people that would stick in their minds tonight, or that will hit their heart tonight, that you really feel is important for the collective to hear, or that you just want to share from your own, whatever the reasoning is, what is the thing that you want to express the most tonight?
Well, if I was speaking, say, to the world, and I do speak to the world anyway, like, you know, as a being, but all the people on the world too, they're just doing their thing, and just keep on doing what you're doing, and I trust everyone. I trust everyone to be and do whatever they want to do, and as long as they don't hurt themselves or hurt others, then you know everything's good. You can do whatever you want.
I
Uh,
I
which
love that
yeah,
philosophy personally. That's always been my belief. Even before I got spiritual, I was like, why do people care what other people do if they're not hurting you? Hey, don't bug me. I'm not going to bug you, guy. So that was a
yeah,
natural thing for me.
yeah, and let our and what is it? Let our differences unite us. I've always thought, what you let our differences unite us? How can being different unite us? And it's actually, it's like in Australia we've got so many different cultures, so we've got so many different menus, like from all different parts of the world. Uh, Even American menus. you know, uh, it's really diverse in that sense. So that, in a sense, Australia is like kind of a good example of other differences, uniting and just being one. Like we respect each other's cultures and religions. Well, most of us do. And there's a few that don't, but who cares about them?
Right?
Yeah, it's like, educate yourself.
Well, that's kind of the whole premise of the United States too, is meant to be a place where everyone comes to do what they need to do and what they want to do and what they feel led to do. And
Yeah,
for the most part, it works. Most people don't care what religion you are, what belief you are, what color you are, and the few bad apples always ruin the bunch. Not really, but they ruin themselves from having a good time because they're locked into their small mindedness. But it
mm,
sucks, but it is what it is. The point though is that the mixture of ideas and energies and people has always been a good thing. Diversity rules the day, you know.
yeah.
And it's always a beautiful thing for diversity of thought. And this is why I love doing the show. And Kalina had
Hmm.
said something that was very nice in the chat. She said she loves that we come in here with different people every week and have different perspectives and chats, and everybody's really enjoying your
Yeah,
perspectives
you
too.
guys are
So,
so good with just doing that whole thing. Just amazing.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's come time for the lightning round, brother. I
Oh,
know.
excellent.
I know you'll have fun with this, but Uh, I want to start off with the first question I asked everybody. What's your favorite color?
It's blue.
Blue. Is there a reason?
Well, it's actually a couple of colors. It's well, it's like blue's my top color. It's like a uh, light blue. That it's like a circle with a light blue, and then it goes darker blue. But you can still see that it doesn't get that dark. It's like that kind of blue. Aqua. I don't know.
Oh, like
It's like a shaded.
kind of like the experience you said you had in the Astral, where it's not all one shade; it's multiple shades.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
like how I saw Ishtar, like that. Yeah, yeah, she had color like blue, like that. It's hard to see the shades change or something. Yeah.
that's amazing. So that's beautiful. What are your other colors that you like? Because you don't have to
Uh,
pick one. You can share all
well,
the colors.
I love green because it's the heart. It's a heart chakra. But it's blue, green, and I love red because it's just like fire, and uh, and white. It's because and black, just white and black, because white has no color and black is all the colors. So it's like really cool. I like that whole idea.
Oh, I've always thought beautifully of those two. So, thank you for sharing that. And the second question I have is, what is your favorite food?
Favorite food. Well, currently my favorite food would have to be a Turkish kebab. Like with just everything in it. And they're really huge where I live around this area, and they got the garlic sauce and that. Oh, I just go into bliss world when I eat one. I can't even eat a full one. It's just so big.
Holy moly, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
a wrap. It's like a soft bread, pita kind of bread, and all the meat. It's like three different kinds of meat: lamb, beef, and chicken, I think, and
oh,
lettuce and tomato fresh, and you can put tomato sauce on if you want. But it's huge. It's like length of your arm almost. It's really big. And but it's really expensive, but it's just delicious. Just it's like a meal. It's just like a home meal kind of.
I love that. That's something I'll have to check out and try. Well, one day I'll make it to Australia. We'll hang out.
We got heaps of cool Turkish food here. It's like awesome.
I normally don't do this, but I'm going to answer a question because it's easier to say it than type it. Kalina in chat asked, "What's Ben's favorite color?" She missed it, and it's multiple shades of blue, but also black and
Yeah,
also white because they have all colors
yeah,
and no colors, right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And they're
so,
shades too. They're not actually colors. Weird.
yeah, which is beautiful. And I want to ask you about your favorite song and or band.
Well, my all-time favorite band would be Pearl Jam, of course. Eddie
Oh,
Vedder
nice.
being standout. Uh, his music, all Pearl Jam's music. Well, well, there's a couple of songs, but if I had, say, a song to be like, there's my favorite song, which is well, it's hard to know. I like In My Tree. It's on uh off Offy Gurgle, that, oh, I can't remember the album, of the Pearl Jam album. It's one with all those photos on it, like tiled on the front of the album. But it's called In My Tree, and it's just a beautiful little kind of melody jingle song that talks about him just going into a tree and just spacing out into his own world, and everything's possible in that space, and and then he kind of brings a relationship, with this tree, and being in this tree, and you know and in the song, it's just beautiful, just hums along nicely. Not many people know it exists. Like track
Mm,
4 on No Code, that's what it's called. That album called No Code.
yeah, I've
Yeah,
never heard of that song. I'm gonna have to check it out.
yeah, then
I
No
like Pearl
Code is
Jam.
really cool. Yeah, I love
I enjoyed most of their mainstream music is the one I know, but Jeremy is the name of a song that they do, and it was
Yeah,
about a
I love
school
it.
shooter, and
Yeah,
that's actually my son's name too. So it always stuck out after he was born. Not that we want him to do school shooting, but you know what I mean. It was a true story about school shooting, which was really intense,
wow,
but it was a
yeah, yeah,
beautiful song.
yeah. Well, to me, because I was, just hitting, teenagehood, and I heard Daughter, and suddenly I couldn't really understand what he was saying, but the music was really good, and the tempo changes and everything like that was just where I was at with my energy. So, and eventually I found, he's through his lyrics, by reading the lyrics and buying the albums and that,
Yeah,
really
same
connected to
here.
his story.
I
Yeah.
didn't really know the meaning to the song until I became an adult. I just liked the way it sounded. It was a beautiful song. What was their big one that they did that was really great?
Well, which one? I mean, Vitalogy was my favorite album, because it was just so strange and just different for the time. And they really just, when they wanted to rock, they had like the tracks that just really pounding rock, and then these other tracks were just really mellow and soft and meaningful. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pearl Jam definitely.
they're wonderful, beautiful. What is your favorite animal?
Well, I've got a couple of favorite animals, but I suppose the eagle would just be up there, like as normal, and my other favorite animal, yeah, just be, and the crow too. Like, that would be my second animal. But they're birds, aren't they? You want animals? I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, no, that's fine. Any animals, it doesn't matter what kingdom they're in. Any of them are great. Eagles are
Yeah, mostly
beautiful.
birds. I mean, I like mice. I just like them because they're small, and they yeah, I like mice too, but and
Well, that's
lions and whales and like all of them maybe. Like
yeah. I was gonna say
all the
you're an
animals.
animal lover anyway, right?
Yeah, all of them. I don't care. Like, yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, eagle would be up there. Yeah,
yeah. And Charlie Z on YouTube gave me the Even Flow. That's the name of the song I was thinking of. Their first
yeah,
really
that's
big
always
one. Yeah,
a beautiful classic to listen to, just to flow along to. Yeah,
yeah. Thank you, Charlie, for that answer too. That's the one I was thinking of. I love Even Flow. It's a great song. Um,
yeah.
so, what is your favorite place when you go out in nature to just feel the feeling and see the beauty? Connecting with that energy. What's your favorite place you've ever been to?
I ever been to? Wow. I guess there was a moment where I used to regularly, when I lived on the beach on the east side of Australia, and lived on this beautiful beach called Talos Beach, I think, near Byron Bay. And yeah, I used to walk along this beach, and at the end of the beach, there was this like rocky kind of rainforest kind of bit of earth that poked out into the ocean. And I used to sit on this rocky bit called Broken Head because it looked like the head of a dinosaur had broken off into the ocean or something.
Oh, wow.
It looked like that's how big it was. But it was beautiful and it was like soft and grassy there. And I sat there and I used to write poetry and stuff. And I used to do that quite regularly, just to find these real and just really inspirational, like the light from the sun, like reflecting off all the different waves, made these like diamond effect of light, like rippling throughout the surface of the ocean. And you'd be
Oh,
inspired by
man.
stuff like that, and and sometimes occasionally a dolphin would just like jump like into right where you're looking, and you're just like, what is that? Like, is somebody killing this shit up? It's like when you get into that poetic mode, just really just describing everything you're seeing in a really magical way, and in a really abstract kind of way too, and I can do that at any point. I still am a poet, and sometimes I just get inspiration to do it. I don't really understand most of it. I suppose that's the whole purpose of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a play of words. They don't really have meaning. They
It's
can if you want.
well, it's amazing because the way you described it, I felt like I was there, and it's hard for people to get that descriptive too. And don't want to jump on our conversation, but I did want to announce to everyone. Tina says hello, Brainiacs and Matt, and I wanted to let you guys know Matt will not be doing his show tonight. He has a family thing that came up that he has to have attention to, but I believe he will be back Friday for the Matrix Mind or the Matrix Mind Media show that he does on Facebook. And I'll talk more about that after we're done here. Sorry, cut into our chat, Ben. Last
That's cool.
question I have for you would be, what is your favorite childhood memory?
I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, it was the first time I actually got a brand new BMX. I think it was for my 11th or 12th birthday. No, maybe 13th birthday. I'm not sure. Around there. But I got, brand new. And I had to have money to buy it for some reason. But my parents uh, paid for it, basically. They said, well, we're going to give you $50 and we'll pay for the rest, and so you can have a BMX. And I remember it was for Christmas, and I got this amazing BMX, and because I was right into BMXing and doing stunts and wheelies and everything, and so I
Holy
just
moly.
for days just went up and down the driveway trying to do wheelies and hurting myself, but not even really caring, and really wanting to learn, and taking apart the bike, and I really got into bikes after that. So that
That's a,
was that was probably the most happiest point in my past.
that it's amazing because when you're that age, as long as you're having fun, it really doesn't matter. As long as you're not breaking a
That's
bone,
right.
it's
You
like,
don't
hey.
feel anything yet. I just sort of like land right on my back from doing a wheelie, and it's like, just like get my breath back. Cool. I just have to get off back on the horse and try again. I did
That's it.
eventually get pretty good, but just amateur still.
That's amazing. It's amazing too when you're a kid. I remember in football practice, um, when I first really got hit hard the first time. That's what it took for me to let go because I was always so worried about hurting the other kids.
Yeah,
And
well, I actually did the exact same thing. I was playing football, Aussie rules, which is a bit different. So the ball, I was going to go for the ball, and the guy who was on my team also went for the ball, but we didn't see each other, and we collided heads. We both went unconscious.
oh,
Yeah,
ow,
he went actually to hospital. I was all right. I just shook it off. Big brain me, big skull.
yeah, you got the super head,
And
huh?
yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm all right. I do martial arts at school. I did plenty of times, but he couldn't handle it. Yeah, I just kind of gave up from there. And I hip and shouldered a guy that was like twice my size, and he went flying. Fine, yeah, I did the right move, as he had to do the right move to get him out of the way so I could get the ball. But my spine and my neck could not handle it. Oh my god, I had to go to a chiropractor to get my neck pulled in because I couldn't even move.
Oh,
It
geez.
was really bad. My poor little body, I just was mind over matter a bit too hardcore over my body.
That's good. It's fun when you're young, and even though it can be brutal on the body, I've met people who had injuries from middle school football and high school football, and
Oh
it
yeah.
lasted their whole life, and that's brutal. But that's a rare thing usually. So my mom was terrified of me because we see all the professional NFL people playing football, and they would land on their helmets or something, and then
Yeah.
break their neck, and then my mom's like, "No," and
Sheesh.
my dad had to talk her through the whole
Said
thing
the
and say,
worst.
"He'll be okay. He'll be all right. He's not gonna break his head." So,
He's not, his neck's not broken. They actually wear those braces, don't they, around their neck, like they're
yeah,
full on like surgeon brace things that they put on over their helmets or something. They're pretty padded out. Like I don't know much about it, but they're pretty well protected little tanks of what is it, plastic and aluminium, something.
yeah, a little bit of metal to hold it together, and mostly plastic and padding,
Yeah.
like a cotton stuff padding with some styrofoam
That's
pad in there.
that's yeah, and they reckon I saw this documentary on the decibels, the sound of two like players crunching together, and it got up to like 50 decibels or something. I was like,
Oh
wow,
yeah,
that's really loud. Like that's like a crack of a, say, a small gun or something. Like,
that's professionals, man. They hit each
yeah.
other hard. When you're 11, 12, 15, it's not as hard, but it feels bad. But yeah,
Yeah, well, we
it's
got
definitely something.
rugby. We got kind of
Yes,
rugby, and that's like your game, but it's different too. It's got like all these
without pads
rules.
and with more
Yeah,
ass
without
kicking.
pads, but it's really tricky how fast you learn how to get the hell away out of someone's way, because you know it's gonna hurt if you run into them. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's agility, versus weight, I suppose. Like it's a different game, and also you have to pass it behind you all the time. Like I don't
Oh,
really follow it at all.
yeah, it's like standard soccer or what the rest of the world calls football, but Americans refuse to because they're stubborn. Um,
Yeah, but
it's
it's
like
weird.
that.
You
Yeah,
can't.
you got to pass it
Yeah,
backwards and all that, and kick it through the
yeah.
goal. It's
You can
yeah.
set up plays and stuff.
I
Yeah.
love rugby. I watch rugby. I don't understand 100% like I do
Well,
American
I
football,
played
but
AFL for a little bit, and that was good fun. But it's physically demanding. You get up to that peak performance. Being a teenager, you got lots of hormones. So you can get to that performance, peak, or go even further. And strengthen skills and stuff like that. It's just great. All kinds of sports. Cricket.
oh yeah.
Used to play cricket. And
Oh, cricket, that's
football.
amazing.
Yeah, it's squash. The indoor squash. That was good fun.
Yeah, that's intense.
Tennis.
All of those. I remember you had said that before the show. Now, unfortunately, we're already past our time, so I want
All right.
to jump into the place where I thank you for being here. You, brother,
Sure.
are an amazing human being, and I love you
Oh,
a bunch, and I really appreciate your reflections you've given me in my life, and
oh,
how you work to help others see what's inside them, because to me that's what all this community is about,
yeah.
or should be about, but that's not my business to tell other people how
It
to do
is.
their
No, we no.
spiritual.
Part of manifestation is to say it is already a really amazing group, a soul tribe, or whatever you want to call it, a collective. To say it is, and
uh,
it is.
Absolutely, and you have been a huge part of that for me, so I want to thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for existing in my reality. It means the
No, that's
world
all
to me,
right.
brother.
You're very special, and your wife and your kids, and just your reflection is amazing too. It's just it moved so many people to open up to themselves, to remember what they forgot ultimately, and Aradif too, and T-Rev, and all the beings and guides that you have channeled. It's amazing. Just
Thank you, brother.
amazing.
That means a bunch to me too. And I want to get people who are interested in seeing your reflections and seeing the things that you share in social media. How do people get a hold of you? I've got the links for both your TikTok and Facebook in my description, but how would people get a hold of you if they want you as their reflection?
Yeah, well, TikTok, you've got that message, like section of TikTok where you message me through TikTok, or you can find me on Facebook. as well, and you know, or you just send a message. You don't have to friend me or anything like that. Just send a message. Just say
Yeah.
I need some help or something, and I can do my best to to just give you a good reflection to help you see where you are already.
Well, you're highly accessible. Every time I've ever messaged you, you messaged me back and done it quickly too.
Yeah,
And
well, I get a lot of joy from getting giving something to somebody, and it's usually my own experience. Um, I give them just like my experience. It's like a hint or a clue or whatever. It's like, look over there. I don't really, point in a particular area. I point back at them. So they, it's all them really. I don't really do anything. I just it's them. They choose to change. They choose to say, well, you know, I'm going to love myself now and see how that goes. It's never. It's like they praise me. Maybe yeah, they say, oh, thank you for helping me. Um, and then I thank them too for them helping themselves. And I just love that. I just love that interaction. It's
I
just good
love
fun.
it. I love it too, and I love you, brother, and I appreciate you being here. And I'm hoping by mid-year this year, late year this year, I'll start doing second times around for some of our guests because I just there's so many great people I wanted to share a conversation with. But eventually, if you're ever interested in coming back, we can do that. And Kalina's suggesting you for one of our friends' shows out that's on our network out there. Talk with Valiant himself, which would be great. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, but it's just a thought. But it it would be great to have you back again, brother. And again, thank you so much for being.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you so much. It's been
Oh,
awesome.
well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And everybody else, I wanted to let you guys know next week, 1 week from today, we have Yvette Hall, who will be here with us, the channeler of Shayla of the Yael and a channeling artist, amazing person. She'll be here with us next week. And the week after, we will have um, Tyler Ellison, who is the channeler of Rio, and sorry, Rio, I think is how he pronounced it, and also an amazing guy who's very kind, very loving, and he channels being from Sasani and other consciousnesses as well. And then the week after that, we are going to have with us Michaela Sheldon, who is also a channeler, one of the only channelers from Michigan I've ever, actually the only channeler from Michigan I've met besides Kalina. And we have all those shows lined up for you guys. We are here every Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That's 7 Pacific. We will always have a guest or special occasion like last week with Psychic Bob Hickman's memorial. And we're always here to share these conversations because the reflections are beautiful, just like this beautiful one we had tonight with Ben. Thank all of you guys for coming. Thank you for all who sent donations. Thank you for all making comments, adding into the share, whatever you're doing here to add energy. We appreciate it. And Matt will be here, I believe, Friday for his show, The Matrix Mind Media. You can find that on Facebook. Type in The Matrix Minds or go to the link in the bottom of the description. Also, our show is rebroadcasted through Forbidden Knowledge News Network and Conscious Awakening Network, as well as simulcast with the Matrix Mind. So thank all of you guys for who have been here and supported us with this show and sharing it out to the world. We love you guys so, so much. Thank you for being a part of the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side next week at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific. See you then, guys.